Okay, we're looking at question 9, which basically asks us to find the answer choice that is parallel to the stimulus. And we're told that there is a flaw in the stimulus. So we know we've got an argument, we know we've got a flawed argument, and so it's our choice to just go through it. Now, this to me was a fairly easy question, but I think it's important to pause for a moment and really take a look at what's going on. This is part of a lesson as well, and if it threw you off, that's fine. But this is kind of a basic understanding of how conditional reasoning works, and then understanding what's valid and what's not valid. So, no members of the Richardson Theater Group is both a performer and an administrator. Well, what does that mean? What does the no modify? And what it does not modify is the Richardson Theater Group. Okay, what it modifies is performer and an administration. So what we have is RTG, then because it negates not P and changes to or not A. All right, and then what it concludes is we have a member of RTG that is not A, and therefore they have to be P. Okay, and so it confuses really what this means. It acts like what that means is you have to be one or the other. And all we really know from this is that if you're both of them, you can't be RTG. That's the valid contrapositive, okay? But we don't have any idea, just because you're not one, that you have to be the other. You don't have to be the other. Not P or not A also means not P and not A. So that's the invalidity to the argument. Now, let's go to the answer choices and see if we can find what we're looking for. A is just a valid argument, and it's really not even close, not all. So the logical force is not the same. So that should be a Q, but you should understand very quickly that it's just a valid argument. It says, not everybody at the company is salaried. There are 2 salaried people that we identified. Therefore, we know we have to have at least one more employee. Well, sure, that's right. If not all of them are salaried, there must be at least one more. Okay, this is valid and should hopefully be very quickly thrown to the side by you. Let's look at B. B says if you are part of the so it has the same structure. If you're part of TC, then you cannot be A or you cannot be C. And it's actually valid because it says we have an employee that is both A and C, therefore we know that she's not part of TC. This just mimics the valid contrapositive, right? So that's valid, that's not what we're looking for. We want to mimic the flaw, right? This is what you should, this is the valid argument, this is the invalid argument. Let's go over to C. Here we have, well, let me start from the bottom and go up, okay? E should be very easy. We have the same structure, right? If you're the BOD, then you're not D or you're not T, but then it starts talking about numbers, so it's absolutely out. It just should be able to be tossed very easily. So we're down to just C and D. Let's look at D, and we have the same thing here that says if you're C, then you're not D or you're not T, and then we have this thing that says, we have this thing that says there's C and D, okay, then we know it's not T. And is that valid, okay? Absolutely that's valid, because we know that you have to either be, in this situation, neither of them or just one of them. And if we've taken away one, right, the only other answer would be both. Right? So, I mean, think about 3 possibilities with D or T. You have D in and T out, T in and D out, or both of them out. They both cannot occur. So, you could never have T if D occurred. That's why this is valid. Okay? Now, and by valid, I mean it's not flawed. It's not parallel to our argument. But let's go to answer choice C. It is, if you're a company, then you cannot be headquartered in Canada and Mexico at the same time, right? So you cannot be headquartered in both of them, all right? You can be headquartered in one of them, or you can be headquartered in none of them. And so it concludes that we're a company that doesn't exist in Mexico, and I think I have this actually written wrong. Then we conclude that you must be headquartered in Canada. Okay, this is mimicking the exact same thing that we have going on in the stimulus. And it's basically the flaw that when you say you cannot have one or the other, that does not mean that if you don't have one, you must have the other. Okay, so we know that C is the correct answer.